The morning I fainted on the Henderson Bridge, I wasn't supposed to be there. I had told myself 100 times that I needed to stop taking that route. The bridge was old, the wind came off the river hard and cold in October, and I was still recovering from a difficult birth. Lily was only 6 weeks old. 6 weeks. Her little head barely fit in the crook of my elbow, and I was already back on my feet because I had no other choice. No maternity leave, no savings, no one to call. Her father had left before she was even born. I remember the exact moment it happened. I had stopped in the middle of the bridge because Lily had started fussing, and I shifted her weight to my right arm so I could reach into the diaper bag with my left. The wind hit me from the side. I hadn't eaten that morning. I hadn't eaten much the night before either. The edges of my vision started to go white, then gray, and I remember thinking, not now, please. Not now. And then there was nothing. What I didn't know was that a man named Daniel Calloway was walking 30 feet behind me. He told me later that he almost didn't take that bridge that morning. He had a meeting across town and his usual route was the underpass, but there was construction and he had rerouted on the fly. He said he saw me stop, saw me sway, and something in his body moved before his brain even caught up. He started jogging, then he was running. He got to me just as my knees buckled, and he caught Lily with one arm and grabbed me with the other, lowering us both to the ground before either of us hit the railing. I woke up to a stranger's face looking down at me, with the kind of focused calm you usually only see in emergency rooms. Hey, stay still. I've got her. She's okay. You're okay. Lily was against his chest, wrapped in his jacket, screaming her lungs out. He had one hand flat on my back, keeping me upright. And he was talking to me the way you talk to someone you don't want to frighten. Even, steady, sure. I called 911, they're coming. What's your name? Mara, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. Mara, good, I'm Daniel. Do you have someone I can call? I looked at him. Really looked at him. He was maybe 32, 33. Dark hair, tired eyes, wearing a gray coat that was now wrapped around my daughter. There was nothing remarkable about him except the fact that he was there, and he had not let either of us fall. No, I said. There's no one. He didn't say anything to that. He just nodded once like he understood more than I'd said, and he kept his hand on my back until the ambulance came. At the hospital, they told me I was severely anemic and dehydrated. The doctor said it like a gentle accusation. And I sat there in the paper gown feeling ashamed and exhausted and so impossibly alone. They wanted to keep me for observation. I was trying to figure out who would watch Lily when the nurse came in and told me the man from the bridge was still in the waiting room. He had stayed. I didn't know what to do with that. People don't stay. That had been my experience for most of my 29 years. My mother left when I was 11. My father did his best, but he was gone by the time I was 24. Marcus, Lily's father, had been very clear that he wasn't built for this kind of life. I had learned slowly and then all at once that the only person I could count on was myself. But Daniel Calloway had stayed. I asked the nurse to send him in. He came through the door holding Lily like he'd been doing it for years, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And he set her gently in my arms and pulled up a chair and sat down. You didn't have to wait, I said. I know. Thank you. For what you did. You saved her life. You probably saved mine. He shook his head slightly. You were already holding on. I just helped. We talked for 2 hours that afternoon. I don't know how else to explain it, except to say that it felt like talking to someone I already knew. He told me he was a structural engineer, that he'd moved to Portland from Chicago 3 years ago, after his own life had come apart, in ways he didn't go into detail about. He was quiet about his pain the way some people are, carrying it neatly, not letting it spill. I respected that. I understood it. Before he left, he wrote his number on the back of a hospital receipt he found in his pocket. In case you need anything, he said. Groceries, a ride, anything. I didn't call him for 3 weeks. And then Lily got sick. A respiratory thing that scared me half to death at 2 a.m. And I was sitting on the bathroom floor with a steaming shower running and a screaming baby, and I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. And I scrolled to his name without thinking, and I called. He answered on the second ring. He was at my apartment in 20 minutes. He sat with me on that bathroom floor until 4 a.m. Both of us cross-legged, Lily between us and her bouncer breathing in the steam. And he told me stories to keep me calm. Stupid, funny stories about engineering, disasters in bad college, roommates and a road trip to New Mexico, where everything went wrong. By 3:30, I was laughing. By 4, Lily was asleep. "You should go," I said. "You have work." "I'll call in late." "Daniel." "Mara." He said my name the way he'd said it on the bridge. Even, steady, sure. "Let someone help you." I didn't have an answer for that, so I just nodded. That was the beginning. Not the bridge, not the hospital. The bathroom floor at 4 in the morning was where it actually started, where I let myself be helped for the first time in as long as I could remember. He came around more after that, not in a way that felt like pressure, but in a way that felt like water, like something finding its level, natural and quiet. He would bring dinner on Thursdays. He taught himself how to fold the specific way. Lily liked to be swaddled by watching a YouTube video 3 times in my living room, very seriously taking it personally when he didn't get it right. He fixed the radiator in my apartment that had been broken for 2 months. Because my landlord wouldn't call back, he never made any of it feel like a favor. He made it feel like he just wanted to be there. 4 months in, I asked him about Chicago, about what had broken. He was quiet for a long time. Then he told me about his son, Ethan, 4 years old when he died. A heart defect no one had caught until it was too late. Daniel had been at a work conference in Seattle. He got the call at dinner. He didn't remember the flight home. He remembered standing in the hospital hallway and understanding for the first time that some things cannot be fixed, cannot be engineered around, cannot be solved by knowing the right formula. His marriage lasted 8 months after that before they both understood that they were 2 people, drowning, and they were pulling each other under. He had come to Portland to start over. He had not expected to start over with anyone. I reached across the couch and took his hand and didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. I just held on and he let me. We got married 11 months after the bridge. It was a small ceremony at the courthouse, just us and 2 witnesses. Lily in a white dress she immediately spit up on, and we laughed so hard we were crying. Daniel cried again when he signed the marriage certificate. Good tears, the kind that come when something you stopped believing in suddenly turns out to be real. He adopted Lily 6 months later. The day it was finalized, we went to dinner and she sat in her high chair and banged her spoon on the tray and said, "Clear as anything. Dada." And Daniel put his face in his hands and sat like that for almost a full minute. I didn't rush him. Then I told him I was pregnant. He looked up. His eyes were still wet. He stared at me for a long moment and then he laughed. This big, real, full laugh that filled the whole restaurant. And people turned to look at us and neither of us cared at all. Our son was born the following spring. We named him James. 18 months after James, we had our daughter, Nora, who came into the world screaming and furious and has not stopped since, which Daniel says is entirely my fault and I say is entirely his, and we are both right. We are a family of 5 now. People ask us how we met, and I always let Daniel tell it because he tells it better. He starts from the construction, the rerouted path, the 30 feet of distance between us on that bridge. He talks about the moment he saw me sway and says he doesn't know why he ran. He just ran. He gets to the part where he wrapped Lily in his jacket and people always gasp a little. And he says, and every single time, exactly the same. She was so small. And she was screaming. And I just thought, somebody has to hold her right now, so I will. Somebody has to hold her right now, so I will. I have thought about that sentence more times than I can count. I have thought about it on hard days. On the days when parenting 3 kids under 5 felt impossible. On the days when grief snuck up on Daniel and he went quiet and I had to just sit beside him and wait. I have thought about it on the good days too. The ordinary Tuesday evenings that are somehow the best days. All 5 of us on the living room floor. Nora stealing James's blocks. Lily reading a picture book out loud to nobody in particular. Daniel lying on his back pretending to be asleep while the babies climb on him like a jungle gym. Somebody has to hold her right now, so I will. That is who he is. That is the whole of it. Last October, on the anniversary of the bridge, we drove back there. All 5 of us. Lily is 3 now, and she ran ahead on the walkway, and we let her. Because Daniel was right behind her, and I was right behind him. James on my hip, Nora in the carrier on Daniel's chest. The river silver and cold below us in the morning light. Lily stopped in the middle of the bridge and looked out at the water. "Daddy," she said. "Is this where you found us?" Daniel crouched down beside her. He looked at her for a moment with that look he gets, the one I have no word for, the one that lives somewhere between wonder and gratitude and something much older. and quieter than either. "Yeah, baby," he said. "This is where I found you." She thought about this very seriously, the way 3-year-olds think about serious things. Then she took his face in both her small hands and kissed him on the nose and ran off down the bridge, screaming with joy at absolutely nothing, the way children do when they feel completely, perfectly safe. Daniel stood up slowly. He looked at me. His eyes were doing that thing again. I took his hand. We walked the rest of the bridge together, all 5 of us, the wind coming off the river cold and clean. And I thought about the morning I had stood in this exact place with nothing left and fallen, and how the universe had placed one person, one ordinary, extraordinary person, exactly 30 feet behind me. I don't believe in accidents anymore. I believe in Daniel Calloway, who rerouted because of construction, who ran when he didn't have to, who stayed in a hospital waiting room for a stranger, who sat on a bathroom floor until 4 in the morning, who learned to swaddle from a YouTube video and took it personally when he got it wrong. I believe in the bridge. I believe in the fall, because some falls, if you are lucky enough, if the world is kind enough, land you exactly where you were always meant to be.